Sales Rep Radio.
Hi, everybody. This is Dan Walker, and this is Sales Rep Radio, a presentation of timeless sales tips and best practices from some of the world's most talented sales consultants. It's news from your world, and it starts right now.
Hot tips, Sales Rep Radio.
Now, no one says you can't have a little fun and some much-deserved R&R this time of year. But the smart sales pro knows how important it is to stay in front of their effort to hit and exceed plan. Thank goodness for the excellent advice we have waiting for us to keep things in high gear over the summer months from very busy corporate sales and marketing consultant, author, and president of New York's Global Learning Link, Susan Onaitis. Susan, so great to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Dan.
Susan, is this something you see a lot of this time of year, people letting their foot off the gas a little bit?
Definitely, Dan. I think people start to get into that summer habit of, Fridays off or, summer hours, and they begin to kind of kick back and think that it's time to take a little vacation, when in fact they are still facing half the year and probably half or more of their sales quota.
Gee, I wish I had a nickel for every time I got a call during the week to slip away for a quick round of golf.
Yes, well, I think a lot of people wish that, but then they start looking at the realities of what's facing them in the rest of the year in terms of making their quotas and making their sales goals, and they get kind of nervous about that and whether they're going to be able to do it.
Well, good thing you're here with us today, Susan, because you've got a helpful list of 8 points that'll serve as a bit of a wake-up call for us this summer.
Right, because I think sometimes in this time of the year we do, as I said, slow down, and we do kind of need kind of a kickstart. So I've got a couple of ideas for people on how to get that kickstart if they see that maybe they've lost a big order they were counting on, or it's been a slow year so far. People need a way to refocus sometimes at this time of year.
Okay, well, let's dig right in, Susan. Where do we start?
Okay, well, the first thing is you really have to figure out how much you're off track. I mean, if it's only a small amount, you can be pretty sure to make it up through a few additional sales calls per week. But if it's a large amount, you'll need to have a well-thought-out contingency plan with real target dates.
A real and honest assessment of where you are relative to where you should be this time of year.
Exactly. And then the second step would be to break down that amount that you're behind in manageable pieces. This way it's really not so overwhelming, and you can break it down into weekly or even daily goals so that you can attack it more realistically.
Yeah, if you do it that way, you're less likely to panic.
Exactly. I think at this time of year you need to be smart, not scared, and you realize you still do have half the year, so it's not like it's coming up to December right now and you are way behind. The next thing would be to put a contingency plan together, and once you figured out how much it's going to take to get you back on target, put together some action steps with target dates that are realistic given your circumstances. And then, just stick to the plan. As that famous ad says, just do it.
Just do it. Okay, you're making me feel better about myself, Susan. What's hot tip number 4?
Okay, number 4 is get some assistance from your manager. Talk over with your manager where you got off track. Sometimes, the forest for the trees kind of gets in the way, and knowing where you went wrong can keep you from doing it again, and your manager might have some insight into where you went wrong, or maybe some tips or suggestions regarding your contingency plan. So I would review the plan with her or him and ask for input on your plan.
Now, are we just setting ourselves up for a confrontation with our manager?
Well, it depends, of course, on the relationship you have with your manager, but I think that most managers are just as interested in your success because, of course, if you're successful, then they're going to be successful. So they're probably just as interested in yours as they are their own.
All right, good point. What's number 5?
Number 5 is analyze your current active business. Is it enough to get you back on target? I think we sometimes overlook, like the current orders that might be in the pipeline or things that you might be able to do some add-on business with. Can you get any of your current customers to order more frequently? Or where are you doing well right now and why? And how can you capitalize on that current success? So I guess the bottom line here is don't overlook your current customers because they can be a really good source of additional business that you might not have planned on when you put your sales quota together or when the quota was put together for you.
Great idea. Stretch a little bit. Think resourcefully about the customers you already have because there may be a gold mine there.
Yes, exactly. And I think we all know that current customers are a lot easier to sell to than going out and finding new customers. So I would start with them.
Right, you are. What, are we up to number 6 already?
Yeah, we are. And number 6 is examine your pipeline. What business is coming along that you can speed up? And where are things getting stalled in the process? And how can you expedite them? Look at what are the realistic chances for getting all of the business that's currently in the works, because that'll give you a sense of whether you are going to be back on track soon or whether it's going to take you longer.
Well, Susan, you're doing one heck of a great job making sure we all sit up straight and mind our P's and Q's this summer.
Well, I hope it works, because I know as someone who's been in sales, it really doesn't feel good to miss that sales quota or to miss a sales goal, and I know what it's like to have your back up against the wall come December, November, and I don't like anybody to be put in that position.
All right, good. Checkpoint number 7.
Okay, number 7 is look for missed opportunities. Where are the missing sales? Are you forgetting about any special times in your customers' cycles when they may need more of your product? For example, many ski resorts and amusement parks look at their lost sales opportunities between, say 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., and they decide to open during those otherwise dead times for maybe a party of teenagers who have the energy and time to recreate something special at those hours. The resorts and parks really have, in fact, identified a lost opportunity for them and turned those lost opportunities into moneymakers. So what are your missing opportunities, and how can you make the most of them?
And once again, that goes back to thinking outside the box and being creative.
Exactly. And it's really also knowing your customer's business, knowing your business, and where are some of the missed links, the things that you haven't thought of. So it does take creativity. And again, this is where somebody who isn't so close to your customers might be of help. Somebody in customer service might be able to give you some input. Or again, your manager might be able to share some ideas that would work.
Keep your eyes open and your ear to the ground, especially with your current customers. Okay, Susan, we're rounding the corner here. We're up to tip number 8.
Well, the final thing isn't going to be news to anybody, and that is to increase your prospecting efforts, because we all know you have to keep that pipeline full, and setting a specific daily goal of how many prospects you will follow up on will help you get to your goal. I know myself in my own business, Dan, I make a point, whether I'm out training or wherever I am, that I make 2 marketing calls every single day. And that really helps me stay on track in terms of where I need to be. So calling current happy customers to get the names of people that they might refer you to, so that your calls to those people are not cold calls. I've done the analysis for my own business to know how many leads I need in the pipeline, how many prospects I need in the pipeline. And that's another good tip, to know how many contacts do you need in your pipeline in order to generate the business you need. And it is different for every business. So that would be up to the individual salesperson to figure that out.
Well, some great ideas for us to stay on top of our game during these summer months. Susan Onaitis, have a great summer, and thanks for joining us on Sales Rep Radio.
Thank you.
That's it for now, folks. Sales Rep Radio is a production of the Marcom Store, the place for strategic sales communications and training, e-learning, video, and corporate podcasts, just like this one. This is Dan Walker. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast, and we'll see you again next time for another edition of Sales Rep Radio.